Low Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout. And today was max effort squat day. You guys know the rules. If you watch these videos, you enjoy them, please click like down below. Help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. You have to click like before you watch the heaviest lift. Felt better about today. Tried to sink it a hair deeper than last time. Trying to get used to squatting deep with the chains. And as I said before, it's very hard to hit depth when you start using chains that start exceeding 10% of bar weight. You start hitting 10% of a bar weight and it just feels excruciatingly heavy at the top. And it kind of shuts your brain down and it makes it hard for you to reach depth. It's like your brain will shut off and say, nope, we're not reaching this depth because we're not strong enough to handle this weight. And it's because the weight is still there during the eccentric. You start unloading it. But, you know, even when you're halfway down, when I've got 77 pounds of chains on here, there's still like 40 pounds of chains halfway down. And my brain is still saying, oh, this is 540 on the bar. This is about my 1 rep max, and we're fatigued from the eccentric already. So, trying to get a little deeper, and dug in deep, got the 502 plus 77 pounds of chains. And I had a couple of big lifters come in who are also over 500 squatters who said, yep, your groove looks good today. And it did. The groove was actually good. Now, I had to power through it, but I'll be honest, this was heavy. Like, this is one of these cases to where when you look at this, you can tell I'm in my groove, but you guys can tell that it's difficult. I had to dig in, had to find my groove on those ramp ups, and had to push through. And one of the things people will notice when I hit that sticking point, that's where you have to drive through. When those chains start hitting that sticking point and they start unloading right there. Okay, you guys see my knees turn out? There's a pro tip for you. Some people have asked about that. How do you drive through a sticking point like that? If you watch my knees there, my knees turn out. You get more hip and glute and you use that to drive on through. Now I will say, last time I had said I felt it all in my hips with heavy chains. And I'm a hip dominant squatter. I did feel a lot of quad on that one. And I've noticed when the chains get real heavy and I have heavy lockouts, I do feel more quad. And I guess it has to do with how much more weight I'm getting up near the top for me personally. So obviously we do hip thrust today because quads are going to need growth. But this is my main quad exercise. You guys can see my quads working there. See the glutes working? It's a very quad dominant movement for me. And these are tough. After hitting that squat was tiring. That was a heavy squat for me. We're not going to lie and pull this, oh, I could have done one more ramp up. No, I think if I'd done another 10-pound jump, I might not have been able to lock it. I might have got stuck on that one. So that was all I had. Unless I really psyched myself up and slapped myself and cranked up some Slayer. But I don't want to do that. These are just supposed to be good, hard maxes with minimal psychological arousal. But we did get the 5x10 on these today. We got the 5x10 with this weight. It's still challenging. So this weight, this is what I've used the last couple times now that I finally got up to 415. This is all I can handle, guys. I'm going to have to work with this for a little while. I'm going to have to really get used to actually completing all my sets with this. This is the first day I've gotten the full 5x10 with this. I've fallen short on the final set twice, not been able to complete the final 10. I got it today after a good squat, but man, were my quads lit. My quads were lit. And my hamstrings quite a bit too. I noticed as I started doing glute ham raises, my hamstrings were lit up pretty good. And I'm almost thinking maybe my deadlift days I might try to work glute bridges in. Because I really like the glute bridges in the hip thrust. And I feel like the hip thrusts are so much work on my quads. They're a lot of work to set up. They're really inconvenient to set up. And I still am going to do them on squat days, but as an alternative, I might work in the glute bridges again now for the deadlift days, and only do the glute ham raises maybe once every, whatever. At least I'll get them in at least once a week, probably on the squat days, right? Because I don't try to do after these hip thrusts and the squats. I don't try to do good mornings. They're more of a deadlift accessory for me. So I'll probably stick to these on squat days because I feel like the glute hammers, even though we could argue it works the deadlift, it's really injury prevention for me on the deadlift. I don't really feel like my hamstrings limit my deadlifts right now that much, and I would still work them in a manner that carries over to the deadlift off the glute bridges. But I feel like the glute ham raise does do something for my squats. I I feel like it's a good squat accessory for me. So we'll figure out how we want to work the different accessories. Did 6 sets of pin lays today. And no, it wasn't just to get to my 10-minute mark. I could have included more of my ramp ups. I filmed more of my squats than I actually put up. But we don't need to see all the ramp ups. Do we really need to see me do 405? Do we need to see any of that? No, we don't need all that. But I've got it. I could have just included that. No, I just wanted to get the extra training. I feel my upper body days definitely doing the 5 sets works because I'm doing so much other upper body stuff, and then my forearms get fatigued. But some of the lower body days, I think, doing more than 5 sets. So the other day I did 10. Today I did 6. Just getting that extra forearm work and bicep and brachialis and all of that in. I feel like I need it. Because again, forearm specialization, grip specialization right now. It's a very high priority for me. Very high priority. And it's stuff that we need to work on every day. So some of these days where my upper body isn't being just beat into the ground, it's a good time to do some extra rows, right? Like my squat days, I have some other upper body recovery. My forearms aren't as beat up as they are on a deadlift day or a bench press day in which I'm also rowing. So I can do some extra sets. So I went ahead and did that today. But all in all, though, I was happy with that squat. And I'm probably going to stick with the really heavy chain squats for now because I want to get used to feeling that heavy weight on my back. Some of them might be box squats. I might even go heavier on the chains, like go up and get to where I can do 502 with my heaviest chains. Right? If we get to where we can do 502 with real heavy chains, and I know I can walk out and lock out, 600 plus, and then work my way back down, that might be a way to go too. I can experiment with it. We can be loose in our approach to this stuff. But we saw what happened when I did that on box squats. That took my box squat up to 500. We went from 440 to 500 on the box squat, just doing real heavy accommodation and then working back down. And then we busted that 502 that first time, which we've now exceeded. Because I've hit a 522 now on a box. And we're getting lifts like today with all these chains. All right. Keep that squat moving. But we can do it off of just as easy stuff. On my squat, I only need to just do the heavy squats like I do now. With the chains, with the other stuff. Do hip thrusts, do some glute ham raises, and my squats will be fine. I feel like that'll work. It's a straightforward approach. And I feel like my squat's going to be the easiest thing for me to build now. That's why I've set the loftiest goal for it, technically. That's going to let me work on the stuff I need more. I couldn't finish my final set of glute ham raises today, by the way. These first two, again, felt my hamstrings, felt my hips. That's one reason I like these for squats. I've had people ask, what do you mean, how is this a squat accessory? They're not that hamstring dominant. Well, for that stretch reflex out of the bottom, it is. And I'm a very hip dominant squatter. The glute ham raise works my hips. Works my hips a lot. I'm a hip dominant squatter. So when you look at it from that perspective, this is what I need to drive through. When I drive through those sticking points, I'm using hips and glutes to drive through. That's why I have the knee turn out and use that external rotation of the knee. And we're obviously using quad there too. There's some misconceptions about that. I almost need to readdress that again because remember we had that video with the Athlete Next thing talking about the stance width and quads. That has been debunked. That has been debunked with biomechanics research. That is actually not true. Wider stance does not use less quad. And even though I prefer the slightly wider stance, I wasn't even aware of that. I was not aware of that. But it's been debunked. So he and I were both wrong. We were both wrong. Boom. It's not true. But I am a very hip dominant squatter. So anything I can do to build my hip strength is going to be useful for my squats, especially powering through those sticking points and not missing maxes. But good workout. I'm happy with it. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.